all hell breaks loose when you cross that line. The rules that we commonly keep kind of go out the window. And this should not be, like I said, this is a part that I consider to be crazy, and why I haven't shared it, because it is crazy, but it should not be really unheard of, especially amongst our communities, because, we know that physics is governed by psyche. We know that we are all a part of one creature. So this should really be common sense, but actually experiencing it, like directly experiencing this, can get to be a little wacky. And it does, from the perspective of having experienced this firsthand, actually having become this, in a manner of speaking, it gets to be a little disturbing to look upon our communities. It's extremely disturbing to look upon the rest of the world, the people that are just straight up fucking sleepwalking and don't have a clue what's going on, most especially the people who do kind of know what's going on and then still do what they know is the wrong thing anyways, for whatever selfish reasons they have. But to look upon our community, our particular peoples, and having to think that, though this is a common concept, though this is our understanding for the most part, that we are all one consciousness, and that reality itself is governed by our intention or decision, by our very, being, by our presence alone. Yet nobody really seems to believe it. Because if I tell you that this has happened, no matter who you are, it's very likely that you are going to discard it or object to it in some way, try to defend yourself from it as though it were an assault upon your awareness. This is the first time I experienced, and it's more like I just kind of remembered having been this person that constructed the mechanism that is eternity. It was like a genius person. But I can't say it's a he or a she. I don't really know I can't even say it was a person, really. It's just, I was aware of a presence, and I kind of visualized it as being a person. And I did visualize it as being a male person, a kind of happy-go-lucky, kind of, cheerful scientist type, a mad scientist who's just going about this insane project without, any bit of fucking, any sort of, just kind of carelessly jumping aboard this train and doing something that is, please be aware that this is, at this point we are in fact experiencing the exhibition of a pretensal kind of pre-existent existence, like as though there were something here before here existed, that this was kind of this area. It's not even saying that like there was a world before our world. This is saying that there is an existence that we are entirely separated from, that we are locked away from. Let me try to explain this. There were several other creatures, I suppose you could say, whatever they were, or we can go ahead and say that these are aliens in every sense of the word. This entire experience, it was at the time entirely alien to me in every possible way. It was just, I had no fucking clue what was going on. When this ended, when I snapped out of this and came back here with that information intact, holy shit, I just like, what had I just gone through? That changed everything for me forever. Like, I was fascinated by this, but it's extremely troubling to do it, and it cannot be done often. I think that once a month even is kind of pushing it a little, because it's going to take the rest of that month to recuperate. In any case, this is speaking to there being an existence, an entire existence, not just like a world or a planet or, even a universe, but an entire existence in and of itself. That there were several. It was kind of like, I sort of picture it as though I were in a lab, and there were several other people, sort of technicians, working on an experiment here with this one genius character who effectively designed this mechanism and went ahead and built it. And if you're thinking about it, it seems like a weird idea. It seems like a kind of a weird idea, but kind of cool at the same time. But if you think about it, if you've actually experienced this happening and you've seen it and you know it to be the case, as I do, you got to get around to thinking how fucking insane this is. Like, this mad scientist just haphazardly creating an eternity box, pretty much, is what I'm picturing here. Is kind of like a mirror box that contains eternity. And I know how it was designed. It was it was designed using simple, common expositions of what we'd think of as being paradoxes, simple dichotomies, just breaking things into dualities, pretty much, and causing for them to mirror each other, and creating this kind of illusory eternality effect that, in fact, is so effective that it does create an eternity. And within what context, there is no out. There is no way out. Like, that this person who created it, he went ahead and tested it. He decided to step into it. He did it with a smile on his face, even. If it was a he, if we could call it a he, whatever it was, it just, without any fear or apprehension, just went ahead and stepped into this mirror, this riddle box, after they had designed and manufactured this eternity construct. He just went right ahead, didn't even think about it. Like, how fucking crazy is that? Like, very seriously, fully aware, perhaps not fully aware. Maybe they didn't know what it was going to do. Maybe they had no idea, Maybe they didn't even know what they were trying to do. Whatever the case, it had to be, to some extent, aware of what would happen. Once you step into that, you are immediately reflected. You are, first thing, your very essence is split into dualities, and you reflect yourself, and at what point you are going to fracture into a multitude of identities and personalities that are all going to be reflecting relative to each other. It contains relativity. This world that existed before that perhaps did not have a concept of relativity, did not even have any general presentation concept whatsoever. It could have been some abstract, I have no idea. The very concept that there would be another world present, like, outside of this one, is just out there. It's very obscure and crazy, as I said, but also, as I said, a lot of you are just going to dismiss it when it, in fact, backs up everything that you say you believe in, except, of course, for the atheists who are failing to believe in anything. In either case, give it a fucking shot and see if you don't see it for yourself. Have a little courage. Have a little fucking dignity. If you don't believe something's real, then go ahead and check it out for yourself. Don't just say it isn't because some other scientist said it was, or never told you about it, or you didn't learn it in public schooling, or maybe the church that your church didn't tell you about it, or said that it was something else, because obviously, almost all of the atheists that I've encountered are only atheists because they were duped by religion, and so they ran away and decided that anything that has any sort of a spiritual context must be false and fraudulent, wherein it is, in fact, only your religion. It was only the religion that you had been duped by that is false. All the others before that are, in most cases, absolutely correct, or at least very close. They have a good idea of what's actually happening, and they've already gone ahead and given you many of the answers to the questions you have about life. You were denied them with your religion because your religion was deliberately lying to you. And when you realized that it was a lie, that it was not correct, you went ahead and turned on spirituality in and of itself, which, there is a flawed concept to begin with, but just the general idea of spirituality in and of itself. But the fact that you would discard anything that is, for all intents and purposes, a personal experience because you haven't learned it in some science textbook, let me tell you something. Your science is lying to you too. That religion was lying to you, and science is, in fact, pulling your strings in many cases. They do not know a lot of the things that they claim to. And most of the shit that you've learned in public schooling, most of the shit that you learn now is not correct. It's guesswork that they've presented because they have an ego to serve. They want to present as though they know everything. A, they want to be egotistical about it. B, because it makes them feel good. It's very simple. It's a very simple understanding to have. It's not difficult to come to these conclusions, especially once you've discovered how many things they've been lying to you about. I mean, every day we discover something new that science was wrong about the day before. So you gotta keep that in effect. We are growing. We are learning together. Our consciousness is in fact expanding. The very ideas, the very value systems that make up our existence are being altered, shifted, changing every passing moment. We do not actually know a damn thing about what is real for certain at all. We never have. The only people that came close were the earlier spiritualities that told us what is in fact transpiring, that we are, our soul, if you want to call it that, our psyche is in fact what is manipulating the snaps and levers behind the stage play of life. We are creating reality. We are creating the rules in play. We are designing physics as we go along. We have been doing this for many hundreds of thousands of years. And it begins with this one entity stepping into this mirror box, this riddle box that, this eternity mechanism. As I said, he went ahead and stepped right into it, and immediately what's going to happen is he's going to be fractured into a myriad of consciousnesses, of identities that are all going to be relative to each other, reflecting upon each other, and essentially designing the rules in play for that game, as it were. They're going to be creating a new kind of reality from that point forward, and in fact, at that point, it's retroactive as well. It's going to start moving backwards through time, which is where we are, having time presented to us from the core out backwards, as though we are moving backwards, where in fact we are. What's happening is we are witnessing time happening in reverse, because the reason, the goal, the purpose in this, which of course is the catalyst event, it's already transpired. It's already there. Everything is coming out of that, radiating in all directions. That's how eternity operates. There's one source from which everything is radiating, and we are witnessing it getting to our point in the timeline from the perspective of its omega point. If you can understand that, it's all very, very simple. These are conclusions you can come to on your own with a little bit of thought experimentation. It's not difficult. It's child's play. It's very simple shit to understand how this operates. But having seen it being put into play, having experienced the creation of this mechanism, and then having kind of experienced, sort of having been the entity that stepped into it, which we are the entity that stepped into it. Obviously, that's where the concept of God is going to have come from in the first place, the creator. The person who in fact created this game and is creating everything that's happening in it as we speak. And that's you. That's every one of you. That's all of us. We are all pieces of this identity, and we do all in fact contain the information of the whole, which under extremity deprivation circumstances you can in fact access and engage that memory. You can first-hand experience that you are this entity, and that you are in fact connected with, not even connected with, because there is no disconnection. There is no division. You and everybody else that has ever or will ever exist are in fact one person. So you can experience that through this practice, and we're going to get into methods, certain practices that I've done, methods by which to engage it, things to look out for. We're going to get into all of that in later videos, but I just wanted to speak to this one occurrence, is that this creature stepped into that box without a care, and entirely carelessly, without a fucking clue what it was doing. I mean, maybe it knew what might happen when it stepped in there, but I don't think you could objectively have any kind of consideration of that actually happening without having experienced it before then. That's crazy. That's fucking crazy. Like, I'm sorry, but even if I were to find people out there who actually understand what I'm saying in this video and comply, respond, say something, maybe they've experienced something like this or even the same thing, or they just generally get what I'm trying to explain here and sort of believe it, sort of. I mean, obviously you cannot actually believe this until you've seen it, and that's kind of the point of practicing yourself and engaging the actual operative investigation on your own, instead of sitting on your ass and letting somebody else tell you what's happening when they don't know a fucking thing. You kind of want to put eyes on the ball. You want to figure it out for yourself so that you can actually say with some degree of confidence. But as I said, doing this is going to beat you the fuck up, so be prepared. I mean, I'm in really bad shape right now, and I have no idea. It's going to be probably until about mid-afternoon tomorrow before I entirely break down and I don't have a fucking avenue to take. Like, I really need to find a solution immediately, at the very least early in the morning before that happens, because I'm not going to make it through the week to getting paid next week. I'm trying to get an advance on my pay for the next day that I work, so that at least I have enough money to cover expenses at the moment, get resources I require so I can recuperate, that I can properly recover here, because I mean, this last one that I did was particularly bad, and then I got stuck outside in the rain, in the freezing rain on top of it, for an entirety of one of the nights. So I mean, this one really beat the living fuck out of me. I'm like very lucky that I survived it at all. It was a hell of an expedition, but what I found was worth it. What I found was fucking incredible. It's terribly melancholy, and most experiences of this sort will be, because the experience of being this in and of itself, of having put yourself in that position, knowing that, remembering, recalling that you in fact did place yourself in this position where you are in an eternity, there is no getting out. You're not going to die and be sent to some kind of a fucking heaven or something. You're just going to keep on going and going and going. There is no out. There is no way to get out of this, ever. Period. It's not, there is no exit plan. There's no strategy to escape, There is no escape. There's no such thing as out of here. When you hit the wall, when you hit the boundary, and you kind of dig into the bottom basement of reality, and you're going to find this, you're going to see that's the one outstanding truth that will always present itself, is that you are in fact in a process that is never ending, that is unfolding forever. It never ever ends. There is no solution, there is no plan, there is no the plan is happening as we decide it. There is no goal point that's going to suddenly be like, okay, we won the game, nor is there any way for us to, escape the process of perhaps repeating this same cycle again and again, or perhaps now, from what I've found the other day, a couple days ago, perhaps even becoming something altogether different upon a death scenario wherein you die, or perhaps even not ever dying at all. That's a potentiality. We do in fact have alternate sort of universes in play, and that's going to be a basic thing. It's the basics of eternality, is that yes, in fact, there are alternate versions of you running around in alternate versions of this. That's commonplace. It's something that every one of us should have firm belief in, because it's fucking common sense. It's not, I know that science has just kind of started to figure this out and considers it to be a theory. Most people kind of blow it off, but it is in fact a common fucking sense principle of how the world operates. You really can't do it without those. It's part of how it's constructed. If you don't see that, I don't know. Maybe I guess maybe I see things differently, or more so than other people, I suppose is a possibility, but I doubt it. I think pretty much a lot of you guys just aren't even looking at it. Like you're walking around with your eyes closed, basically. I mean, take a look at it, think about it. Conduct your own experimentation, conduct your own investigation. Be thorough about it. Be objective. Don't let your previous sentiments tell you what you need to be thinking in the future. You are not who you've told yourself you are in the past. In fact, that person is a total fraud. It's a puppet you've created, or rather the world around you has created, caused for you to create. In most cases, I mean, in certain cases, people are going to be alert and aware, doing their own thing, but in many, almost, I'm going to say most cases, your personality is a figment of your imagination. It's a person that you've created based on what outside sources of information have told you to be. That is not really a valid representation of who or what you really are. That's what it means when it's said in spiritual practices to remember who you are. That means you are in fact creating yourself, and that you probably haven't been doing that before. You've been allowing something else to create you, and you've been reacting rather than creating. But you can stop and turn that around at any point. So what you want to do when you conduct these investigations on your own is actually be objective and not allow for your previous decisions to control how you think or feel about things, because you're going to experience things that are going to firmly contradict every fucking last little thing that you ever thought you believed in before. And when you stand in the face of that and it's glaring at you and you have no fucking argument for it whatsoever, it's gonna blow you away if you hold on to the past. You gotta be strong, and when I say be strong, I mean fluid like water, baby. Fucking be sharp, be fast enough to keep up with yourself as you move along. Don't get dragged behind by past occurrences. And shit, when you get to this level, if you start doing this sort of thing or something similar to it, if you find a way to have these kinds of experiences for yourself, or if you have before, don't get dragged away by the future either, because you're going to see that too. Anyways, that's about it. That's what I'm going to say about this for now. I had a lot to say, and I really wanted to. I was in the right mood for it. After I do this, and when I'm sort of settling and trying to calm myself down and come out of it and kind of, begin to recover, I usually do have a lot to say. Like, I immediately glean this sort of superior assertion, this ability to make use of advanced articulation and just speak very eloquently for long durations. I really love that. I've never really gotten a chance to record it though, and this is my first attempt at recording that. And obviously I kind of fucked it up. I haven't been as eloquent as I would have liked to be, and I sort of forgot a lot of what I wanted to say, because I'm really in shit shape here. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop it there and say that is the opening video for this particular narrative, which is a part of the Approaching Nowhere course, a story meant to relate personal experiences and insights gleaned thereof. So thank you for watching. I hope all of you are well, and go ahead and kick ass and be excellent. I will do the same as soon as is possible, hopefully tomorrow morning. Kila Salai, Terviuni Siari, Namaste.